people, I've been wondering that. I've been always talking about this every time, but there's a reason why I would choose the 360 over the PS3. We're gonna start with the controller first off. Like you see the Xbox 360 right here? Look how big this baby is right here. It's nice, sleek, it's comfortable, and you can be able to game in style, right? It's like this is something that I want to be able to game on. That's why like back then when the 360 and PS3 was like on the hot deals, right? Like this is something that I wanted to have fun with because it felt like look how big this is. The trigger buttons right here. You take a look at this, the bumpers, and like this game, this kind of controller was good for shooters. Really, really, still is good for shooters nowadays. The only problem I had was that, of course, the D-pad looked kind of big. It looked kind of over extravagant on hand, and the thing is that sometimes like this battery pack could like accidentally fell loose. But other than that, this controller was a must when it comes to games that you wanted to play on your own time. Like this is a controller I wanted to dig with. Like this is why like I chose the 360 over the PS3 first. Like that's why I said like, hey, 360. That's where I want to game at. Now, the PS3 on the other hand, this little piece of plastic right here, and I did bought like an extra controller when I bought my PS3 back then, and yeah, the reason why I still have this controller is because because the back side of it is already broken. And you take a look at this. Yeah, there's only two LED lights on, so that means yeah, there's something. This, like I said, there's a problem with these PlayStation controllers nowadays. But the thing is that the PS3 controller, it was first off, here was the number one problem that what I had with this controller. First off, when I first turned it on, it was so sensitive. That was my number one problem with this controller. Like that's why I didn't grind it on the PS3 that much. It was so sensitive. I did have a red controller as well. Like I was in the middle of it. I still remember the day how I actually broke this sucker, this piece of plastic right here, because I was like in the middle of the day. I was just playing. Let's see. I was playing COD 4 back then. I had it both on 360 and PS3. I was playing this, right? I was playing a game, right? Every time this controller kept on acting so sensitive, like it just kept like normally like when a controller like for instance the 360 when you like press X or A it just do it automatically. It just do it like what you're told. This controller, like I remember I pressed the square button or if I pressed another button, it felt like it was pressing three buttons at the same time. It felt like, oh my god, this controller, it's sensitive. It was sensitive. I mean, like, who would want to dig a controller like this if it's so sensitive? Like, you press another button, right? You press another button, right? But all of a sudden it presses those other three buttons. It was so damn sensitive. I couldn't do. I couldn't. Oh my god, this controller was just so sensitive. Like, I mean, I'm telling you, this thing, like, oh my god. And I don't care if it's it's a 6-axis. It's a 6-axis, man. It's like a game changer. It's a Bluetooth controller. Yeah, so what? The 360 is the same thing. But this controller, it was so damn sensitive. It was so uncomfortable. Felt like that I was about to break the entire thing because it felt way too soft. 360 on the other hand felt like I was actually in the zone. I felt like I was actually really playing. But no, see this controller. I mean, like the reason why I still have this controller because, like I said, I broke it. There was like that one day where it got too sensitive, and I was like, fuck this. I'm throwing it over there. But yeah, this controller was uncomfortable. I mean, really. Sony, you had a good idea with your PS2 controller. It was actually nice. It was actually sleek. It was okay. Like, there's a reason. Like, the thing is, I had a change of mind, a change of heart and minds when I was actually playing on. When it came from a PS2 original Xbox to PS3 Xbox 360. It was like I had a change of transitions. I just went and got a 360 first. But it's like this controller. It was just this was too uncomfortable. It felt like I was about to break. This lithium battery they must have put inside, whatever kind of battery they must have put inside. It felt like it was about to die. It felt like it was dying really fast. Oh my god! And like I said right here, you see these like the little trigger buttons right here. These little trigger buttons right here felt like it was plastic as well. 360 on the other hand, look at this. Much better to control. Very better controller on the other hand. And like I said, I mean, like I wish that this PS3 controller was actually not sensitive. It would actually work. I ended up taking back my PS3 like another time. But the thing is that like I said, I couldn't return this because, like I said, it was damaged. Yeah, I know. I threw it against the wall because, like I said, that thing would drive me nuts even when I was young back then. But that thing it drove me nuts. My hands were constant. My pinkies were on constant pain every time. Yeah, when I go in the 360, I don't have that problem. I don't know. It's just thing is that the 360 controller. The thing is that Microsoft is like mostly like a computer company, but they could actually make a really good controller. But but Sony, even though they're also a computer company, they made a good console back then. They made a PS1, PS2. They just messed up with their PS3. And I don't know what they think. Like Sony hasn't been making a good console since the PS2. Like I'm telling you, this PS4, it's like yeah, so what? But the thing is that the control, like, I'll explain later about the PS4 controller versus Xbox One controller. But man, that's why, like I said, I chose the 360 controller because, like, I mean, look how big and sturdy, nice and sturdy it is. Like, it's easy for me to control. This controller, on the other hand, was too sensitive. It felt like a piece of plastic, and it felt like it was about to break. This thing was about to break, or like just shut down by itself. Like every time I remember I used to play on this sucker, it kept shutting down over and over again before I broke this. And now that it's broke, like I said, like that's why I chose, like I said, like the 360 the 360 console was better than the PS3 because of how its console was sleek, compact, and nice to use, and that it had a nice, good controller to use. It was an easy controller to use. Yeah, so I mean, I don't know what you were thinking. Like maybe you should have like maybe just focused on maybe actually upgrading your controller. Like maybe the PS4 controller could have been the PS3 controller back then, and then you could have probably made something nice. Like that's why like I took the PS3 back because I was just too tired of these two little pieces of plastic nightmares that I was using. It was too uncomfortable. It felt like it was about to break on my hand. It was too sensitive. Every time I kept pressing a button, it felt like I was pressing other buttons. It's like all of a sudden Sony must have put like a demon on every controller they must have made. Yeah, it looked like the Xbox 360 controller had a better life controller than the PS3. PS3 looked like it was like a low budget controller. I'm sorry, it was just too uncomfortable. That's why, like I said, I don't grind it much. Because the controller was just not good for like any game like I ever tried playing. Like for instance, shooters or role play games or like fighting games, like all these other games that I had on my PS3. I could not be able to do it because of this fucking controller. It was just too sensitive. Now looking through it, like I feel like I don't even want to bother touching this thing anymore. I don't even want to bother even looking at it. Because this thing gave me nightmares every time I used to play this sucker. So yeah, like this is why, like I said, I had better times with the Xbox 360. I think maybe I do have it around. I do have it. I haven't searched my closet in a while. I was just more into just doing what I gotta be doing. Just put my clothes on, just go do what I gotta do. But yeah, anyways, there's a reason why I chose the 360 first over the PS3 because the controller was actually way nicer than the PS3 controller. And not to mention, by the looks of the PS3 controller, it looked like an outdated version of the PS2 controller. Felt like it was like, yeah, what were they doing? It wasn't interesting for me. Like this controller was just like the same. It was like the same thing as the PS2 controller, but it's just a Bluetooth. It was just wireless. Not to mention PS2, I saw all of a sudden started having third-party PS2 controllers. I don't know. Here's what you get. 10-minute upload right here. 10-minute upload right here. It's a 10-minute upload right here to give you some biblical facts about the 360 controller versus the PS3 controller and why the 360 was a lot more sturdier and a lot better than the PS3 controller. And it doesn't matter in the end. Oh, they made a bunch of more cells. Too bad. As long as the controller actually works, if I can be able to actually play a game where I have a good controller, let me know, and I'm good with it. I'm hoping that either the Series S or the Series X becomes available. I'm not so sure like which one is going to probably be available. I'll probably pick one of them, and I'll pick the other one later on when the supply is increasing. But yeah, those are like some of my facts on why I chose the 360. Why I think the 360 controller is way better than the PS3. It was